talking about the jollof rice index that was released by SBM Intelligence. It's good to have a woman on the show. Glory Oscar Etim is the senior analyst from SBM Intelligence. Hello, Glory. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nancy.
How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good,
It's it's
good, good.
it's nice to have a woman join me today. Um, it's not as if I'm not women friendly. Of course, people know me that I'm women friendly, but women, I don't know why women always try to take the back seat when it comes to the spotlight, you know. Anyway, Glory, it's good to have you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can hear Glory. Okay, Glory, why is this report significant? I know I've discussed the Jollof Index here on the program with your colleagues. Why do you guys think that it is necessary to track the cost of making jollof rice in the country? And what does that mean?
Okay, so that is like the basics. If you remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you remember that food is at the bottom and it is what everybody can relate to. And in terms of the Jollof Index, with the way our country is vast, that is one food that we eat all through the country. And even in West Africa, if you notice, you'd see that we've expanded our report to West Africa. So while we track the changes in the cost of food, and especially the Jollof Index, is because we want the average Nigerian to be able to relate to changing food prices. When we talk about the way things are changing, inflation.
Okay. It seems also that Glory is frozen. Glory's network connection is frozen. Let's quickly take a break. Uh, Internet providers, please, 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 this morning, please, I beg of you. Let's quickly take a break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Glory is still with me. Glory Oscar Etim is the senior analyst at SBM Intelligence. Sorry for that network disruption, Glory, but go ahead. I heard you clearly when you said if I noticed a difference in this report, which I did. You guys expanded the scope to West Africa, especially Ghana and Nigeria. What it takes to prepare jollof rice in Ghana and what it takes to prepare jollof rice in Nigeria. So please go ahead.
Okay, so like I was saying earlier, um, we track the cost of making food because it is what the average Nigerian can understand. As it stands, the average cost of making jollof rice in Nigeria is 12,300 naira, just about that. And that is an increase from 10,800 naira that we had in the previous quarter. So if you would agree with me, that's about 13.5% increase. which shows how much things are changing um, very fast in the country.
Mm. How did you arrive at this? You've given us a 13.5 increase in the cost of making, preparing perhaps a pot of jollof rice for a family of how many? Five?
For
Or
a family of 5 years.
so that means father, mother, and three children. Would I assume that?
Yes.
and we know that in many families, of course, we have other dependents. We have niece, nephew, and co. So how did you all arrive at this? What was the methodology you used in arriving at this?
Oh, okay. So across the country, we collect data from 13 markets across the country. And we collect the data for making for jollof rice ingredients for 11 months December because of the crisis situations. And from this the in the market, we take an average of what it costs to make jollof rice in the country.
So assume the ingredients you'll be taking. Let's take a look at those ingredients and let me know if your ingredients are esoteric, because we'll have different types of jollof rice in Nigeria. You will have the one native, you do it in jollof rice format. You have the concoction style. So what kind of ingredients are you going for? The esoteric ones where you'll be putting curry and seasoning. These days, no curry and seasoning, no. If you have a what's it called, saint leaf, you put it there. It's even more healthy. No, curry leaf rather. So talk to me about those ingredients.
Okay, so I would not agree that those ingredients are exoteric. Although what you've just described is the situation that we are in, trying to try alternatives, take out some of the things that we initially thought were very important. So if you can, take a step back with me, the jollof rice, the Nigerian jollof rice, the standard jollof rice that you and I know, is one that has curry, is one that has thyme, is one that has tomato, has chicken. You understand? So that is the jollof rice that we've been tracking, and you would agree with me that this is like our standard jollof rice, and we started tracking these as far back as 2015. So you cannot say, oh, okay, because Nigerians are seeking alternatives. Nigerians are beginning to not um, include some things in their jollof rice that, oh, okay, we should take that away. So it's the standard jollof rice that we are still measuring. But the point you made is something that has come out in our report in the last 2 quarters, which is that Nigerians are seeking alternatives. From eating turkey to chicken, from chicken to pomo, from pomo to eggs, and all of that. So we just see Nigerians adjust and adjust and adjust. And having interviews with people in the market, we get a lot of data that suggests that the average Nigerian is really, really adjusting.
Mm. Okay, I know that I spoke to your colleagues some time ago when we looked at this Jollof Index, and they actually did tell me at that point that many Nigerians were really adjusting. People cannot afford turkey; they because turkey is actually more expensive than chicken.
Yeah.
They go for chicken. They went for beef. They went for fish. Then at the time they went to eggs. Now a crate of egg averagely in Abuja goes for between 2000 and 2002 to 2005. It depends on how big the size of the egg is. So, as at that time I spoke to your colleagues, they told me they had migrated to eggs. What are they eating now since Nigerians cannot afford um, turkey, chicken, beef, what's it called? Fish. What are they eating now? They just putting crayfish on it without, or not, what, or nothing. Or are they still within the egg range?
So yes, they are still within the egg range. And
Okay.
like I said earlier, we collect data from 13 markets across the country. So sometimes there are regional disparities where it's different a bit, but generally it's still eggs. And we had egg lots in at some point, but that did not even reduce the cost of egg in the country. Egg still went for as high as 100 naira from 30 naira that we used to buy in 2015 and all of that. So, Nigerians are stopped at this point, and from our interviews on this particular quarter, they really expected a break, you know, as a result of the change of government. They really expected a break. They really expected some form of relief from the long-term food cost prices, but it appears that it just did not come.
Mm. You said you guys have been tracking this index from 2015. Can you speak to me about what has really significantly changed? Of course, it's obvious. You mentioned earlier that the price of, getting a pot of jollof rice right now, averagely in Nigeria, is about 12,000 naira with all the condiments. That's, I assume you mean party jollof rice. As when you go to party,
Yeah.
the type you will see in
Mm-hmm.
parties. Yeah. So, how far have we changed in terms of pricing from 2015 till 2023, which is about how many years now? You know, about 8 years plus.
Okay, so from that time till now,
Yes, till now, yes.
yeah, a lot has changed, and I'll talk about some of the ingredients that make up the jollof rice. Rice, for instance, has undergone a lot of changes, more than 100%, maybe 200%. It has actually gone very high. When we started tracking the cost of making a jollof rice in Nigeria, the average cost was about 4,000 naira as of 2015. Mm. So, but now it has gone up to over 12,000. And, a lot has changed from the price of rice, for instance, from less than 10,000. Right, the cost of rice is currently more than 35,000 to 40,000 in the country as we speak. Other food prices like a tomato, like groundnut oil, has gone overboard. So, because of the cost of all of these things, that's why the cost of jollof rice it has itself changed. And speaking of the causes of these issues, we have discussed these previously, and other sort of development partners have also lended their voice to say, okay, that there are a lot of issues from insecurity, especially in the food producing regions of Nigeria, from insecurity to high cost of for instance, in this very quarter, high cost of transportation and all of that, to other issues like policy changes.
Hmm.
When the government intervenes in the market, sometimes the outcomes are not as expected. And we saw that during the border closure policy, coming out from the pandemic and all of those issues, and then the Russia-Ukraine war. So it's just an intersection of very many issues that are causing that have caused these price changes from 2015.
Is there a way that, is there a component of FX, exchange rates, that impacted this index which you and your colleagues tracked? And if it did, how did it affect it?
Okay, okay. So there has always been an FX component, and that's because we did not um, grow all the rice that we need in the country. We import rice, and it would even surprise you to know that in urban centers like Lagos, that um, we do not grow all the tomatoes that we use. Like they are not, some of them are not from Nigeria. Tomatoes, we have Ghana tomato, Cameroon tomato coming into the country,
So those categories
and
of tomatoes were imported. Is that what you're saying from your survey?
yes, that's what I'm
Wow.
saying. I'm
Wow.
saying that apart from things like rice
Mm-hmm.
that we know that they've always been imported. There are some other things we don't even put the spotlight on that have always been imported. Like we have tomatoes from neighboring countries, and these guys do not trade with us in naira. So somehow there has to be a conversion. Yes. So things like rice, especially even turkey, even with the border closure policy and removing some of those food items from the export list where they can get dollar from the I&E window. That has not stopped the importation. It
So,
has
so,
just
so, Glory, what I can hear from you is that the policy of government in terms of backward integration, in terms of growing what we eat and eating what we grow, is seemingly not working from this Jollof index track. Because from what you said, we're still importing rice. So the government policy, especially during Buhari's time, that there was so much talk around rice production that we can feed that way we can feed ourselves right now with our homegrown rice. So it's seemingly not working and it's not impacting because rice is a staple which is really important in making jollof rice. That's the fundamental fundamental ingredient or the fundamental food rather. So with rice production in the country, we're still how?
okay. So the first thing to understand is that when you are trying out interventions, it's not good for you to put um, all your leverage on it. You understand? That is why there's so much advocacy for policy or evidence-based policy making. I would explain what I mean. So, you know, we know, for instance, the quantity of rice that we can produce, and it's also possible to project it. And we also saw that it was not possible for our local producers to just get up to that level at once. There needed to be some form of there needed to be some sort of substitution until our production rates, were equal to the demand. But that did not happen before the border closure happened. So, what that meant is that there was still more demand for the commodity than we could supply. And what does that mean? Inflation.
Mm.
And people had to go underground, to go and bring the rice and all of those kind of things. So it's not that the government policy is entirely wrong, but the way it was planned, the way it was implemented, we think that there should have been a period where the quantity of production of internal production was monitored vis-a-vis the demand before the government closed the border. And secondly, this is something that is known in research,
Okay.
in agricultural research, that when the government focuses, like when the government focuses on, trying to grow a particular product, what happens is that other agricultural products suffer.
Mm.
So, for instance, if the government is investing in a particular product, maybe rice or something, every farmer goes to,
To
or every
rise. So
farmer wants
other
to,
food staples take a back seat. That's what you're
exactly,
saying.
and then
Mm.
it also shrinks the alternative
Mm.
that people have,
Okay.
the right that people have.
Okay, that your point is noted and taken. Lastly, of course, you surveyed what the cost of making jollof rice is in Ghana. I'd like to know how much because you said earlier that the cost of making what we call jollof rice, the standard one, or perhaps the ultimate one now, because now jollof rice will have grades in Nigeria. What is the amount of making jollof rice in Ghana?
Please, can you come again with that?
Yeah, Gloria asked, how much does it take to make jollof rice in Ghana? A pot of jollof rice for a
Okay.
family of four, for a family of five.
Okay. So at the moment, it takes about 307.5 cedis to make a pot of jollof rice in Ghana. And this has increased from when we started tracking Ghana. Like I explained earlier, Ghana is a new others as we go by. it was about 277 naira as of last quarter.
That's
And
277 CDs. Is that what you mean?
yeah, 277 cities, I mean,
Okay.
of last quarter, and that has moved to 317 in this quarter.
Okay, 370. I want to get that right. 300 and what?
17.
Okay, 317 CDs to make
Yeah,
a pot of jollof rice in Ghana. Were you able to
yes.
find out which jollof is superior? Is it still Nigerian or Ghanaian?
We are trying very much not to have that
Debate.
regional competitions. Yeah, but it's the same ingredient that goes into the jollof rice, apart from a few other spices.
Mm. It's a healthy debate not to go into. So you mentioned 317 cities, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what
Yes,
I heard?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
And the exchange rate of one CD to Naira today is about 70 Naira, from what I can see here. One Ghanaian CD is equals to 70 Naira. So 317 CDs times 70 Naira. So my viewers should do the maths. Thank you very much, Glory, for speaking
Yeah,
today on Nigeria's Jollof Rice Index. We'll see you guys again, perhaps the next quarter, but don't bring me bad news that it has increased, especially with the palliatives from Mr. President in rice, cassava, wheat. We should see perhaps a reduction, but let's see how it goes. I've been speaking with Glorious Etim, Senior Analyst at SBM Intelligence. At this